Kentucky, what is your state motto, your slogan?
We are the Wildcats. We like beer. We like titties, and we're having one hell of a time.
It was the best of times. It's the worst of times. It's the catechin all the same. Fellas, how we feeling?
Bad.
Yeah, I don't know that you could feel much worse after what is honestly the worst loss since I've been watching Kentucky football. A lot of people want to talk about South Carolina or Vanderbilt. This was about as bad as it gets. I looked and looked for positives in this thing. The 10-0 start was about as good as it got, and then the wheels fell off, the rims got ground into the ground, and the car crashed into a tree. I mean, it was that bad. Giving up 278 yards to their running back is just getting dominated on both sides of the line of scrimmage is what really surprised me. But 24-10, but it could have been much, much worse.
It was one of those games where I was like, oh, okay, the offense is the problem. And I was like, no, the defense is the problem. And it just turns out it just happened to be whichever one was on the field at the time I thought was the problem. Just a all systems failure from top to bottom.
It absolutely. It was so bad. It made me want to, because I was last week I was dead wrong. I thought this would be a big bounce back game for Kentucky. You guys told me I was wrong. Still feel like I'm still like shook that it was as bad as it was because the strengths. This is a bad Auburn team. Make no mistake about it. This is a very bad Auburn team. Their other two wins were Alabama A&M and New Mexico, and they were coming off a 4-game losing streak. One of the worst. I mean, just there's nothing about this that, I mean, other than you guys and your vibes with how you thought it was going to go. Nothing else spoke to that it was going to be like this, and it could have been so much worse. I mean, 24-10, but a mismanaged drive at the end of the first half saves another touchdown for Kentucky, and still Auburn dominates the middle eight with the second half. That's where the game was lost. It was a 14 play, 75-yard, 7-minute and 7-second touchdown drive to break the tie after half, where it went run, 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 incomplete pass, 10-yard pass, 19-yard pass, run, run, touchdown. Half the quarter, and they just broke Kentucky's will.
The thing is, yeah, is what you were saying is this was a 14-point loss. Could have easily been a 28-point loss. If Auburn doesn't mismanage the end of the first half, and if they just choose to score at the end, because we weren't stopping them.
They did end the game on an 11-play, 81-yard drive where they kneeled down in the red zone, just took the soul and snatched it and went home with a dub. And this is in Lexington against a team that was 2-5 and 0-4 in conference. I was defending everything last week, saying that there was a lot of good that could still. There's almost nothing that is. It was so bad. Like I said, I went back to look at trends to see like if it's been leading to this, like what led to this, and there's unbelievable amounts of stuff that is just, it's all bad. I mean, you had a lineman grading out with a 0.0 Pro Football Focus blocking grade. It was the backup right tackle Malachi Ward. I've never seen a 0 on a. I'm sure. They would have been a little different with the other left tackling, but really, I don't think it would have mattered, honestly. 23 carries for Hunter, 278 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's the craziest thing to me because Kentucky's D line is supposed to be, the front seven really the strength, right? I mean, you got dudes that are going to get drafted there, and they got pushed around all game long to the tune of 50 carries, 326 yards for 6.5 a carry with a long of 50. They got absolutely worked up and down the field the whole game.
Auburn, before this game, arguably the worst team in the SEC. Now there might be a new worst team in the SEC.
Thank everybody. Yeah, everyone got to be loving Mississippi State right now because they do hold that distinction. But outside of that, you're absolutely correct. This is you're looking at the 14th place SEC team in the Kentucky Wildcats, and it's frankly a 63-yard 4th down conversion away from being 0-6.
If we play Mississippi State in Lexington, though, that's a barn burner.
It's a game. It's Utah State, Wyoming. It comes down to it. You know what I mean? It's going to be tough. Yeah, they were coming off a 4-game losing streak. They hadn't won since September against New Mexico. They lost to Cal. All of their like statistics offensively and defensively are really propped up by their 73-3 win over Alabama A&M. And make no mistake, this might be the worst loss in the Stoops era, truthfully. I mean, I haven't gone back through everything, but I don't know that there's a worse loss as far as the talent on the other side of the field in Lexington, just given everything, like the strength. Okay, for example, the high rusher for Auburn, every game has been the same. It's been Hunter. Here's his totals every other game: 53 yards, 68 yards, 152 yards, 67. And that 152, by the way, is against the worst defense in the FBS, New Mexico. 97 yards, 91, 57, and then 278.
If you don't like that,
That's some genty numbers.
you don't like Kentucky football.
Can you imagine what Ashton Gentry would have done in that game? My goodness.
We'd have to rename the stadium. I think legally we'd have to rename the stadium after that.
Really though, what's so frustrating is you look at the drives here, and Kentucky, like I said, it couldn't have got off to a better start. They get the field goal, 3-0, then Auburn punts. They get Kentucky with a touchdown. 2 plays, 0 yards. Auburn throws an interception. So you got the ball in plus territory, up 10-0, and your drive you go 3 plays, -9 yards. I mean, you got a 2-score lead, and you get a pick. Like this is where you go put the thing away, and you end up punting after a -9. The 10 obviously is all they scored. Like so really it just was bad all the way around. There's not a whole lot. I looked to see if there's anything really redeeming it. No, not really, other than the 10-0 start. And really that was, I mean, they got
Braden,
big boyed and
now that you've seen this, where do you think the blame lies for this?
Ultimately, as I said last week, still Stoops. It does stop with him, but I think the OC's got it. I mean, I don't know. I haven't been around this long enough, but I think that everyone has blame in this game, particularly because this is bad. I mean, you got, Brock 9 of 17, 120 yards and a pick. Wimsatt comes in 3 of 10, 34 yards and a pick. Team rushing 27 carries for 70 yards. I honestly, the play calling on offense isn't doing the defense any favors. They were clearly out there a long time, but they couldn't get off the field either.
I will
Auburn
say we have played the let's fire the OC game in years past. We've played that card multiple times.
So many
Have you
times.
played
There's
the
only
higher-
one OC that we haven't done that with, and he keeps leaving.
Wow.
So maybe it's in the hiring. So again, that would fall to Stoops a little bit. But it's strange. It does seem like, I mean, this is a wheels falling off type of thing. This loss is worse than I think I'm sounding real negative right now, and I feel like I'm not doing it justice how bad this was. That Auburn team is terrible. I think Vandy's going to put work in against this Auburn team this week. And because again, Auburn hasn't had they had 3 drives that went over 10 plays and 4 minutes and 75 yards on the strength of the Kentucky defense is that front seven. Or the Kentucky team really is the defense. The offense is the 128th ranked passing efficiency. There are only 6 teams they're better than: Wyoming, Florida State, Northwestern, Air Force, and New Mexico State. It's that bad. It's damn near the worst in the country.
My input is that my expectations were low, obviously, from last week, but holy fuck. We made Hugh Freeze look like he deserves a job a little bit, even though, and it's like, with the OC stuff, you have these folks come in here after having had success other places, or they leave and they have success at their places. So you do wonder how much authority Mark Stoops takes for himself in those situations, but didn't for Liam Cohen. But we get outcoached by good coaches. That has always happened. But
fair enough.
He did outcoached by a bad coaching staff.
He did say in his last presser that he has no input on the offensive side of the ball. It's a bad look either way. My point is you can't have the 85th rushing offense and the 128th passing offense and the top 30 defense and tell me that it's just not it's the offense. It's bad. For instance, there's out of the top 30 statistical defenses in the country, only 3 of those teams have a losing record. Louisiana Tech, Houston, and the Kentucky Wildcats.
So I also like taking credit for good stuff and shunning bad stuff. So makes sense.
Fair enough. I mean, this has not been a good Auburn team since Freeze has been back. In his second year, he's had 4 4 total 100-yard rushers in the 2 seasons or the 1.5 seasons that he's been there, and he damn near had a 300-yard rusher yesterday or on Saturday. That's brutal. That the rushing total the week I said it 53, 68, 150 is terrible. 278 is nuts.
And there's no end in sight.
No. Well, yeah, there is. Louisville. We'll still beat the fuck out of Louisville.
That's true. I mean, we'll beat
But-
them. We'll give Texas a hell of a game.
Maybe Murray State. I think it'll be closer than people.
It won't. Murray State's one of the worst teams in all of FCS. It won't be a close game.
That's my hometown. All right.
Your hometown lost by like 55 to North Dakota State last week, so I'm not super worried that they're going to even put
North
any
Dakota
points
State
on them.
would beat us.
Yes.
It'd be close. It'd be much closer than you think.
I think
it'd be much closer than
they
you think.
played Colorado pretty close, didn't they?
I think
And I think
Colorado and
Colorado
Kentucky would be a fairly competitive game.
Really?
Oh, no. All right, we seem to have some technical difficulties there with the last one. I think the last thing we mentioned was we were talking about North Dakota State and how they could give Kentucky a game, and Braden said something crazy when he said that Colorado and Kentucky would be competitive for some reason.
I think it would be competitive. I didn't say they'd win, but I mean, Kentucky, Georgia was competitive. So, it kind of just depends on which Kentucky team shows up. You know what I mean?
That was before we knew we were ass. Now we know
Fair
we're ass.
enough. This week is not, we got Tennessee this week. That's going to be tough. Murray State, Texas, and Louisville. I mean, you're staring 4-8 down the barrel pretty hard.
We're going to be Texas's get right game. God.
I mean, you'd think so, but it seems like the times like that the Kentucky's had real stinkers have been against, like, it seems like they're playing to the competition a little bit. Now they're not beating the Georgias, but they are losing to, Auburn. I mean, Auburn didn't have an SEC win, legitimately, like we said. Alabama and A&M and New Mexico, 2 teams that pick 11 dudes around the country, you're probably going to beat them. Not Utah State, unfortunately.
Are we going to be the Arch Manning has arrived game?
That or the Quinn Ewers is back game, and he's playing right again. I mean,
yeah,
either
maybe
one.
Quinn Ewers is a top 10 pick again.
Yep. Or right back
Honestly,
to being on the highlight reels for every NFL draft pick.
Yeah.
We're back to those days.
Familiar sight, huh?
It hurts, man.
SEC competition. It sucks because we have so much talent on the defensive side too. It just kills me.
That was the wildest thing, is that it was, if they're going to get beat, I felt like when South Carolina won that game, right? It felt like they pressured off the edge really tough. We had 30 yards passing. Kentucky did. It was rough. And so that's a lot different than getting bullied by a running back for 278 up and down the field against what the strength of your team is. That's what was most shocking, is that they dominated the line of scrimmage when they really haven't been able to do that against any competition this year.
It just comes to me. It just feels like an effort thing, almost getting dudes to show up. I just don't think Stoops has got it in him.
It does seem like there's not a lot of player-driven leadership, and what I mean by that is a lot of times when a team takes a punch to the mouth, it's the player-driven leadership on the field that'll kind of course correct that. And the second they get scored on, it just kind of, they scored the 10, right? And they get scored on, and it just kind of falls apart. Like, there's no like pick back up after the momentum shift. So when they've been in games like against Ole Miss or against Georgia, things like that, like they didn't have those. They didn't have like those like moments where they get kind of knocked down, and it would be up to the players to kind of pick each other up. Those were kind of back and forth tight barn burners the whole time. And then again, they're in all the losses. Like Vandy, it never felt like they were in. They felt like they were in their heads the whole time. Florida, they've been dominated 2 straight weeks, and really, they kind of got dominated for at least the middle 8 in the second half of the Vandy game. It hasn't been good since Ole Miss, obviously. And even that game, you 4th and 3, 63-yard completion to Barryon Brown. Without that, you're looking at 0-6 in the SEC and a 2-win season so far. That's pretty bleak.
2-win season in 2012 meant a basketball natty. So, whatever. But it's discouraging right now. I do not like the way that we treat our quarterback. I think taking him in and out has always been a weird decision, and it doesn't feel like they're doing him any favors with play calling. They haven't done that. It's just been, here, you're here, you were a 5-star, go, 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 but the guy hasn't started any meaningful college snaps. There's some development that has to happen, and I don't think we're doing that. It doesn't seem like we're doing that. Coaching, you get beat by the guy who said after a loss that they would win 9 out of 10 of the next 10 or something. It's just a bad look.
Losing to Freeze, this I'm telling you, this is a bad loss. I mean, I don't know who else has Auburn beat in the conference if they don't play Mississippi State. I don't even know who they have. They're not. I don't think they beat. They might even lose to Louisiana Monroe in 2 weeks. Louisiana Monroe's a good squad. I could legitimately see them losing the rest of their games. As a
Auburn almost beat Oklahoma, but I'm not sure how good Oklahoma is, and I think that Oklahoma's quarterback got hurt, and they had to bring in a true freshman who then beat Auburn. So that might not be the
yeah,
best stretch. Yeah,
they beat Auburn by 6. That was their last win, though. They've since been beaten by Texas by 31, South Carolina by 26, and Ole Miss by 12. They've been blown out 3 straight weeks since they beat Auburn. Man, Jesus. And like you said, the quarterbacks though, Vandegrift didn't look great, but also like this guy's he's supposed to be an arm talent. He's this, that, and he's making these throws. A lot of the big plays is throws he's making to his guys where only they can catch on the sideline. But he's having to run, he's running way more draws than that guy ever should have to run.
the best play we have on offense is just him running it. That's the only way we can move the ball.
They're probably like, there's no way they're going to do this, right? Like they're not going to run this guy on QB draws all the time, and that's why it works.
Right. Yeah. And I try to go back and look, and honestly, I think the biggest thing for the offense is they're not running the ball at any sort of clip whatsoever. There's not been a 100-yard rusher this season. Even looking back at other seasons, in both the 10-win seasons, in 2021 and 2018, 7 times and 9 times there was a 100-yard rusher. 7 different games, 9 different games. I mean, there's something there, and this year 0 times, and it's been a trend. It's gone down every year for the last 4 years of how many 100-yard rushers you've had. You haven't had one in not this year, and I think for the last like 4 or 5 games of last season as well. Just putrid offense, just 11th worst passing team. Just there's nothing really good to say about the offense. And outside of even the one good passing game on paper was against Ole Miss, and that's really inflated by that 63-yard bomb at the end of the game. Otherwise, that's another 150-yard passing game. So I really don't know where you go from here because you're paying the guy $9 million. His buyouts $40+ million. I mean, what do you do?
I think he might
next,
quit. We might literally bully him out of his job. He did not do the press conference today. I don't think.
I don't know how much bullying it would take to get me to stop getting $9 million a year, but it'd be.
It depends how big your ego was.
And yeah, I mean, perhaps. I mean, and maybe. And I was wrong. Like I had, no idea that Cal would be out of, and none of us knew that he'd be out. But it feels as unlikely as that did, but that happened. So I just don't see how you don't get out of it by. I mean, I don't think you don't think there's any boosters out there that would front that or like be, like how A&M did Jimbo.
0.
I didn't think so. Fair enough.
Wouldn't do it for the
boosters are thinking.
True.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the boosters are thinking basketball at this point. There's no way that. Is it the Crafts that kind of float all of the football money in Patino? Patino's probably pissed. I'd be pissed if I was Patino. I was giving him all. He's like, I want to give money to the basketball team, but I can't because I work at St. John's, and so I have to give money to this football team, and they're just blowing it.
I think there's a real argument that we should make our football program a money laundering scheme for the basketball program.
There might be evidence that already happens, seeing as that's Rick Pitino donating to the football program. But hey, I mean, we could try to make it legit.
We get Bob Stoops to donate to our basketball program, and we do a little bit of numbers matching there.
Yeah.
There you go.
You watch it.
Yeah. So the only game that I'm confident for the rest of the season is Louisville because it would be so funny.
It would be, but I genuinely don't think that there's a win there. I would be very surprised if they beat Louisville. I know trends are trends, but it's a decent Louisville team. This is a very bad football team at Kentucky. Like there's.
But the boys will get up for Louisville no matter what.
They do. They always do.
You think that
Will Levis was Superman, and we beat Lamar during his Heisman year. I mean, it's just every time.
Totally. I mean, things happen, but just I genuinely don't see how you get blown out at home against Auburn, and then at Florida, and then you're going to beat Murray State, or you're going to lose to Tennessee, and then Murray State, and I mean, you got 3 more losses on the schedule, 2 more losses
because
at least
the
on the
team
schedule.
that beat Ole Miss shows up.
The team that beat Ole Miss shows up. Okay, fair enough. I guess if the defense shows up like that, there's a good chance. But I mean, that wasn't like a dominant win. That was kind of pulled a rabbit out of a hat at the last second type deal. That wasn't.
I think that Louisville also recently lost their best receiver for the year.
And they also lost to Miami in the replay officials. Otherwise, they'd have a top 5 win right now. So, I mean, not to
I thought you said the Canes were frauds. So
they
really,
are,
that would
but
only been
I
a
mean,
fraud.
there's fair enough. Ole Miss is as big of a fraud as Miami is, if we're going to
I
talk
feel
that
like you're
route.
overlooking something really big though, Braden, and that's that Louisville sucks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fair enough.
God
we beat
hates
them.
Louisville. Yeah.
Fair enough. We can wager something on that. I'm not going to bet against the Cats, but I just don't. I mean, even FPI's got them as a 30% chance to beat Louisville, a 5% chance to beat Texas, a 9% chance to beat Tennessee. 4-8 down the barrel is what you're looking at. Does anything change at 4-8? Is there coaching changes outside of Stoops that be made if that's the case?
If we
No.
lose to Louisville, things get real hot. I just don't see how it's possible to get rid of him. I just think that the bullying turns up. That's all that will happen. I think that's the extent of what can really happen this year.
I think here's the best case scenario is that we're going to beat Murray. We're going to get our backs blown out by Tennessee. We're going to get our backs blown out by Texas. And then we beat Louisville, and it's Stoops' swan song, and he goes out beating Louisville one last time.
Yeah.
We bully him all the way up until then. And then
we lose to Louisville. If we lose to Louisville, he doesn't want to go to his favorite place in the world because people are going to be treating him like the Giants fans do Daniel Jones.
I mean, man. Okay, so Louisville's 3 losses are all with a score to Miami, SMU, and Notre Dame. I think they're a pretty good squad. Comparatively, I don't think it'll be a walk in the park by any means. I know you own them, whatever, the little brother, that whole thing. But I mean, I guess I'll see. I've been wrong about everything else. You guys seem to know the Kentucky vibes, obviously, so we'll see. But I just
it's a very vibes-based program.
I coined this phrase, Braden, and feel free to use it whenever you want. When Kentucky and Louisville play each other, throw out the record books.
Okay.
That's a JC original right there.
Well, yeah,
the record books,
Michael Scott, Wayne Gretzky type thing. Yeah. Now, the one thing I was curious on too that I kind of skipped over was the OC today came out and said he hasn't decided on a starting quarterback. And to kind of go off what you were saying about how the quarterbacks are being developed, I think that's a massive, massive, massive miss. Just at this point, play it out. Play Brock out. I mean, Wimsatt came in and somehow had a worse QBR. Vandergriff had 18.1 QBR, and Wimsatt was half that with a pick and half the attempts. So I don't really know.
Is there like a specific booster for Gavin or something? What is the deal?
These losses are not on Brock.
They're not. Not at all. He's averaging out as an average quarterback in the SEC right now, as on grade outs and everything. It's not necessarily
like winning these games and Brock was still playing like this, then I'd be like, hey, are we sure that Brock is good? But there are other major glaring issues with this football team that are not Brock Vandagriff.
And so, you're just sacrificing his development for what? Still losing?
Yeah. Maybe it would force us to run the ball. I don't know.
That's what I can't understand. Like the running the ball, it's atrocious. And
to be fair, preseason people were worried about the running game because we didn't know who was going to run the ball.
Well, you got to hand it off to let somebody run it, don't you? I mean, you can't. You got to give them carries. That's the whole thing. Is like the team's averaging very few. I mean, it's just it's. I mean, as inefficient as the pass game's been, the rush game's almost as bad. I mean, they haven't. Golly, yeah, I think
our
terrible.
Best play of the game against Auburn was Jason Patterson's touchdown run.
Yeah,
which was when
I put Dane Key as my running back on my dynasty mode back a few months ago. He won the Heisman. So what are they doing? You know what I mean? I don't think I ever handed the ball to him ever. I think it was only bubble screens. But
yeah, he was the leading rusher with 38 yards, 23 of that coming on the one you're talking about. It doesn't help Brock in the QB room at all when your leading rusher has 38 yards. What are you supposed to do? I mean, truthfully, it's bad offense all around, but it's almost pretty balanced. It's balanced bad. It's not just. I think it's chicken to the egg situation, but I think a lot of it does stem off of the fact that they can't run the ball at all. They're just not doing it. They're not. The two many rushes the last two games.
Pro-style offense relies on establishing the run and getting under center.
Good offense establishes a run some way, shape, or form, even if it's not under center, and they're just not doing it. I feel like they're not even attempting to, honestly.
It says here Brock was 9 for 17. I think he should have had 6 less passes, and that would be more indicative of how this game went. It's 9-11. Sorry. Okay.
Second
We'll
tower,
move
yeah, I
on.
got you.
We'll move on.
I
We'll move
got
on.
you. Yeah.
If you went 9 for 11 though, that's pretty good. You're getting
That'd be a good game.
percentages.
You
Yeah.
never forget that.
No.
Anyways,
Yeah. The fact that out of the 4 last games, 2 of them are against top 10 teams, and then Murray State. I wonder how will people turn out for that game? You think the attendance will be real down for that? I don't know how Kentucky supports its like. Will
super
there be
low.
nobody there? Super low. Okay, because a 10:30 kickoff too. That's really early in the day for Murray State.
10:30. Dang.
Sounds like a
There's gonna be
nightmare.
football on from sun up to sundown. What the heck?
Let's see. It's maybe standardized in my time. Let's see.
Okay,
Either way, it's a
okay.
1:30 kick. Yeah, my bad.
Oh yeah. Grown up time is 12:30, right?
Grown up time. Okay, yeah, I got you. Grown ups lose at 1:30 instead. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, grown ups be miserable on Monday taking their kids to school after they watched Dak Prescott eat shit for late hours.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, honestly, that's. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on about how bad this game was, but it's. I think it'll bear out even worse with how Auburn will do the rest of the year. I think you might have the Murray without the Murray State game. We might have saw the last win of the season again. And I know you say you're going to beat Louisville, but
Yeah, we will.
Color me skeptical. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know what you want to put on that one. How many Skittles we want to put on that one? But I just feel I want the Cats to win. I'd love for them to win. But
I'm more of a diddle trader, for being honest.
Whatever it is, I think you'd be losing whatever it is you're putting up. Just because, given, I mean, again, rivalry game, toss the records out. I get it. JC original, but I think that it's not looking good. Okay, say you do win that game, 5-7 is your ceiling.
It doesn't
Not
matter.
great. Yeah.
I mean, either way, the season sucks, but you lose to Louisville. I think that you lose the offseason capability for any kind of hype. And that is brutal for getting booster money.
You really think beating Louisville will help at all in that regard? I mean,
no.
4-8
I don't think it helps. I think
but it
that
maintains
losing,
maybe?
Yeah, I think losing makes it way worse. Which is they're probably going to lose, but God does hate Louisville.
I think it makes this season a lot more palatable at the end if we're able to end it and be like, at least beat Louisville. And then I think more people will be willing to give them a shot for next year.
Yeah, Twitter's
but
a lot
also
more fun.
gives him a clean exit if he did want to go. To go out
one
and beat Louisville.
Where would he go though? That's like you suck this bad. You don't got any. Texas A&M.
I think he just straight up retires.
No.
Yeah. I think one thing that I have thought, and I did still, I'm still being overly optimistic, is the last 4 weeks, Tennessee's played 1 touchdown games with everyone they've played from, Arkansas, Florida, Oklahoma, and Alabama. If Kentucky can play the defense they've played in some of these other games, in low scoring affairs, they have a shot at the end. It's the same way they beat Ole Miss, should have beat Georgia. Just saying, the last time you won a game, that's how you won it. So if there is a recipe to win it, that's it.
I've got some numbers for you, stat boy.
All right, what is it?
All right, we've played 3 games against Josh Heupel while he's been at Tennessee.
Okay.
Tennessee has scored 45, 44, and 33 in those games. Now, my question to you is, where in the world are we going to match that offensive output?
Well, they haven't scored a total of 45 points. Well, they scored 47 in the last 2 weeks. The last 4 games, they've got 25, 14, 23, and 24 against defenses statistically that are a little worse than Kentucky. So I don't know that they're going to, again, totally different. I get what you're saying. What?
After Saturday, Nico's Heisman chances for next year are going to be what, 2-1?
Pretty high.
It's not really.
It's going to be him or Arch Manning.
He hasn't thrown for 200 yards this season.
Sounds like a perfect opportunity. Yeah, it sounds like a perfect opportunity for him to break that.
Again, I mean, that'd be, gosh. I don't even want to doubt it because you guys have been totally right on
he looked so good in the beginning of the season too. I'm just saying he's just waiting.
Here's a take. With the transfer portal and the NIL era, and you see bad teams like this, I think we're going to see more teams where the wheels just fall off and they're not able to sort of all come together again, because I think you're just going to have dudes that are immediately, as soon as that 3rd or 4th loss comes, they're thinking transfer portal immediately, and you got guys checking out midway through the season. And I think that might be what's going on here. And I think that's going to continue to be prevalent in college football from here moving forward.
Absolutely. And that's actually a really good point, because a lot of these guys, you may not see the Slukas, like UNLV's kid who left and over the NIL stuff, but I think you'll see like the mentally quitting, like get mine and do, that's it. Absolutely. No, that's a really good point. And I don't think, because team building, even though you can bring a team together like quickly with a lot of talent, they're not bought in as much. I mean, there's a possibility they're not bought in as much for each other. That's an excellent point. But I think, I think the wheels have already kind of fallen off. Auburn's a bad football team. And so I mean, the only thing you can do when you get to the bottom is dig, right? So
we're going to do some digging in Knoxville.
Hey, I think Vandy and Ole Miss next year are going to be littered with former Kentucky players.
That's depressing.
Yeah. Well, any other football thoughts, boys, before we move on to happier times?
No, not really. Nothing else. It's just putrid all the way around. Just nothing excusable about that game. I mean, they had the start of all starts, and they still, it could have been a 35-point loss if they'd have capitalized, and Hugh Freeze didn't have horrible clock management and things like that. So
yeah, getting out coached by a bad coach. I don't like that. Ad read. Today's episode is brought to you by the premier app for discreetly meeting local skaters in your area, Grindr. Are you a skateboarder looking to connect with other skaters nearby? Then check out Grindr, the app that helps you discreetly meet fellow skaters. Whether you're searching for a truck stop, rest stop, or a back alley to perfect your tricks, Grindr helps you find the perfect spot to meet up with like-minded skaters, single skaters, jacked skaters, down for whatever skaters, you name it. And let me tell you, this app is legit. Just ask my girlfriend. She found it on my phone and was curious about what it was. I explained it's an app for finding other skaters to hang out with and practice with. She wasn't convinced at first, but then Grindr became a sponsor of our show, so it has to be real, right? Now she's totally on board and has agreed not to ask me about it anymore. I'm connecting with skaters all over the place. So pull out your skateboard, whether it's in your garage, attic, or buried deeply in your closet. Download Grindr today. Start connecting with your local skate community, because sometimes the best rides are the ones you share.
Yeah. Perfect. Why are you so good at writing those, dude? That's crazy. Great job too, Kev. That was really good.
Yeah, that was awesome.
You nailed it, brother.
So turning on a dime from that one, Kentucky football stinks and Kentucky basketball is fun. The world is healing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is. Somebody made Kentucky great again.
And his name is Mark Pope.
Brought us to the promised land, Camelot. There's just so much good. We did our rapid reaction on the exhibition last week. Impossible to pick apart a 71-point dub. So it was very giddy. I think I've watched a little bit of exhibition basketball since then, and it's really made me even more happy, just because it's kind of night and day seeing 5 players on the court doing something together. Everybody seems like they know what they're doing. Condition is there. I mean, they were even talking about that being something that they needed to work on. And you see them running around the court, and then you watch other very, very talented teams. Then they're obviously not even close to the conditioning level that they care. They want to win. Mark Pope, I think, comes in this year, surpasses expectations. I think if people were being honest, the expectations would probably be higher on the national media. But I don't care, because I really think that they're going to do well.
I think we're going to get a better look against, Pope said after the game, his whole philosophy with the exhibitions was to play 2 championship level teams. And this Minnesota State team is the defending D2 champs, and they'll have length. I read a few previews on them. They have some great shooters. We'll see. I think we'll see a little bit more pushback. I think that, you still win by a good amount, but it'll be a good test against a team that's played together. I think they went like 35-1 or 35-2 last year. Like, that's regardless of level, it's still going to be a good program, a good team, and I think that'll be exciting to see. And I think I did see that. I think Kerr's playing in the this exhibition, so that would be nice to get a look at him. I don't know that for sure, but that's what I've seen. And I think it'd be
Is it
nice
still
to
going
see
to
that.
be on the SEC Network Plus?
I don't know, but I could find out for you. Let's look.
I hope it's not, but probably. I do think Mark Pope has been very like he wanted to play championship level teams, right? But the main thing is that these are well coached teams, and that's good practice, right? Like dudes just still kind of getting it together aren't who you want to practice against, especially whenever there's a talent deficit like there is in a lot of these exhibition matches. But that's not what he's doing. He's really using these as opportunities to showcase, but also have film that actually
Mhm.
is actionable, which is smart. I'm excited to watch it.
It will only be SEC Plus streaming. But it looked like Kurt is expected to play. But yeah, just streaming only for this one. But I mean, again, it should be. I think one point you're trying to make in there is making making the game feel like a real game, playing with the strategy, like playing it as if it were a regular season game rather than just, hey, we're Kentucky and you're Minnesota State, we're just gonna out athlete you
right.
the whole time. I don't think that's what they're going for. They're trying to beat them the way they're going to beat teams in the regular season, trying to get a
Right.
more realistic look that way.
Yeah. Same speed. Go as fast as you can. Rotate as many times as we're going to rotate. Yeah, it's good to see. There was a lot of film, a lot of clips from practices. You had the blue white game, but you didn't see a 12-man roster rotating the way that it's going to in the regular season until the last exhibition. And I think that this is still going to be an opportunity to see that, even if we end up getting some end of the bench folks more looks than they would usually get. I still think you're going to see more of those guys than you would have thought a couple months ago, even in the regular season. So it's good.
Do you think that any of these teams that are playing these big exhibition games are playing a team that's as good as the Kentucky TBT team?
Ooh, no,
I mean, it
maybe.
depends.
I guess it
That is a
depends how
pretty
good
good
you
squad with
think
a lot of
Arkansas
former
and Kansas
pros.
are, right?
Right.
And it depends on how you think they coach those games and how they have their rotations in those games. Again, it's that. I mean, not to talk about Cal too much, but that game was just such an they beat Kansas or whatever. But I think that it's just a different style that's being played in these exhibitions. So no, I don't think La Familia is going to be any worse than. I think they'd be better than most teams people are playing. And I honestly had completely forgot Kentucky scrimmage La Familia earlier in the offseason. So good point. That is a good look.
Yeah. Some people are
Half an
complaining that we're
off
not
season ago.
playing like bigger games with it and just completely ignoring that we did that like a while
Yeah.
ago. And we were giving them a game, so
And also
secretly
Kansas,
beat them. But
they're. It's not like they were playing it as if it was a regular season game.
Dickinson didn't play, and there was the fouls were crazy. It was a
Yeah.
whole aberration, honestly.
not taking anything away from
DJ,
Arkansas. I'm sure. I mean,
no,
Boogie Flam
no.
looked really good.
And DJ looks like what I assume Cal thought he would look like all season last year.
Wish we got that DJ, but
Yeah.
best of luck to him.
I think he was hurt. Yeah, I think it was a lot of injury, but I'm glad he's getting his neck another shot to kind of catapult himself back into like first round draft status. Because I think he's going to be good. But it's playing with fire with an 8-man rotation. I thought Boogie got hurt watching him play, and I was like, no way did they just lose half of their hype today in an exhibition match. Because he hit hard. But yeah, he looked good. I think. They're still young. There was the other freshmen kind of still look like freshmen. I am glad that's not what we have to look forward to this year, because I would not be confident in that in March. But
I mean, Arkansas still shot 25% from 3 that game.
Yeah,
so
they did.
Hey, Big
and
Z hit a 3.
They played quarters.
Yeah.
The bonus was different versus being 7. I think they did 5 or 6. They shot 28 free throws to 10 for Kansas. I mean, that's it. I don't think you can almost read anything from that. I mean, Arkansas fans, good luck for you. Good luck to you. You'll have fun. You won the national championship in the exhibitions last year. You beat Purdue, so that was a
Yeah.
big time one for them. So I'm sure that they're psyched again. This is their time to shine, and then we'll see them go 15-15.
Yeah. But seeing the different flavors of basketball from the video game offense of Mark Pope to the go offense
And
of John Calipari, it
I'm really
was
interested to see how well the turnover assist ratio goes against Minnesota State, because what they did, even looking deeper, 71-point win and stuff, that's impressive, but 32 assists to 5 turnovers is
yeah,
nuts against anybody. 50% from 3, nuts. So they'll probably, there's more than likely going to be a little bit of a downturn, obviously maybe a little step up in competition, but I'll be real interested to see if they play with the same pace, getting most of their shots within the first 10 seconds of the shot clock. No assists, lots of assists, no turnovers, excuse me. But that's what I'm really interested to see, is if it's consistent, right?
yep,
At least seem close. I would expect there to be more turn. If they go 32 assists to 5 turnovers every game, they're not losing a game this year. That's insane.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what I'm looking forward to. There's not a whole lot you can grab other than that, but I'd
We
love to
might
see some
not.
consistency in the
Hey,
rotations.
We might not lose a game
and
this year. Who knows?
that's true. I do have the tattoo already, but the good like well coached teams like Kentucky Wesleyan force turnovers. Like even if the talent isn't there, especially when you have bigs distributing the ball that haven't played that role before, you would think that it should be surprising to people how well we did in that aspect of the game.
I can't emphasize enough, even at that pace too. That's the other
Yeah,
thing too. Like that,
right.
you're absolutely right. It just all that it's shocking. Like I said, against a high school team, that's shocking. 32-5 playing with that much pace is crazy. To not have more than that 5 turnovers, unbelievable.
Yeah.
And what I like
I
too is that it's an older team, but they still haven't a lot of them individually as players sort of haven't reached their peak yet. So you think of a guy like Jackson Robinson, he's clearly, he's the best player on the team right now, or Andrew Carr, who's also very, very good. Have they kind of maybe reached like 80 to 90% of what they are as basketball players? One could argue that, but you still have a Colin Chandler. You still have an Otega Owe, who I think might be the guys
yeah.
with the most room left to grow on the team. That by the end of the season, this team could still be getting better.
In showcasing strengths. I think even like if Jackson and Carr stay at the same level that they're playing at already, I think that in the system that Mark Pope's going to run, he's going to highlight and emphasize the strengths. So they're going to be their strengths are going to be showcased more, even if they don't technically get better. They're going to produce better, which
I think
what
it's
matters.
crazy to say this, but a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year and Amari Williams has the most room, I think, to hit a higher peak than where he's at, just based on the fact that Pope has kind of said as much, but like you get that guy shooting, you get that guy distributing the way he is, and then top that with, I think he even mentioned something. This isn't a direct quote, but he said something about him being. It's weird to call a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year raw in some areas,
Yeah.
but he did, and I think under Pope's tutelage with him and Fieger, I think it's going to be I think he's got massive upside. All things considered. So in addition to what y'all said, but I think that'd be my sleeper for
Well,
the biggest improvement by the
and
end of the year.
that's something that I noticed with Amari and Great, the British boys of the offseason, seeing their
Oh boy.
ability to time blocks without fouling, and not bite on fakes or whatever. Just they had this sense of seeing the future almost.
Anticipation is
Reading,
really good.
yeah. Anticipation, I guess, is probably the dictionary word. What I was trying to say, but that being able to take that anticipation and put it on the offensive side, which he wasn't asked to do previously. It's, you're talking about shoot up the draft boards type season.
When the
That
guys
very,
around you
very
are the guys he
modern,
has.
big.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So it's exciting stuff. And also, I really hope that he just has like an amazing year and becomes an ambassador for the university, because I just want to hear him talk every time he talks.
It's money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not really much to talk about when we just beat a team by over 70 and we got another exhibition coming up. So you guys have any?
Last thing I guess would be I'm interested to see how if Kerr does play, what that does to the rotation, and if Travis Perry ends up playing more of a shooting role. I think Pope said something about that in the press conference too. That like I don't know if point guard is his natural role right now. Um, so, but he's
If he
money from
shoots
three.
well enough to get himself on the court in meaningful minutes this season, I'll be pretty surprised because he's pretty raw in
Mhm.
most areas, honestly. I think
Yeah,
Kirk coming back shoves a lot down the line, and I think
yeah,
Carr didn't hardly play in the exhibition comparatively to some guys. So I think a lot of
mhm.
dudes got minutes that aren't going to get that many minutes. But again, exhibition, you want to see what you've got.
Yeah,
But I would like to see Kerr in there just to see more of. I'm just excited to see more of the actual rotations. We'll get it with Wright
yeah,
State, but I think it'd be. I think you're going to start seeing a little bit of a tilt towards that in this game, and then full tilt obviously against Wright. And then I think, well, we get Duke in 2 weeks. Like, let's go.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we're gonna be there. It's gonna be fun. But it is encouraging that Mark Pope wants Travis Perry to defend well, so he lets him play the counterpart to Butler. Like in
Hmm.
the exhibition in meaningful
Yeah,
minutes, and you can tell that he's very deliberate with the decisions that he makes.
man, everything the man does is on purpose for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So it's good. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Oh yeah, I guess also seeing that point guard rotation and then knowing a little bit of what we have to expect next year from the high school class.
Oh yeah, recruiting news, right? I mean,
Yeah,
Caden Lewis is
so
a cat, obviously, right?
yeah, Jasper Johnson, like those two. Jasper has been lighting it up at the Overtime Elite. He's fun to watch, and the whole production value of the Overtime Elite content is so good. It's just fun to follow because you just get to watch this kid who you know is going to play at Kentucky next year play in these street ball like movie theater type games. It's very fun. Now, Caden, I think it's just that he is also, I think, the second most fun point guard to watch in high school right now. Um, I, I'm sure people are going to get a lot more familiar with him over the next.
I thought it was funny
What's
that
How many?
his recruiting announcement was a cross post with Barstool Kentucky on Instagram to announce that
Yeah,
he'd be making his commitment. It's like, okay, well, feels like a
yeah,
spoiler
he's an
alert.
absolute troll. Can you imagine if he
yeah.
didn't go to Kentucky though?
I'd love it either way. Yeah, either way,
It'd be
sounds pretty
masterclass
awesome.
in trolling.
Yeah.
No,
And
I'd put a good foot bet on that. He's going to be a cat.
I
We beat Duke in Atlanta. Caleb Wilson, just on the spot. I'm telling you, we just got to
I
get him.
mean, that's been the bag on him and Caden, right? Is the rumors that they're a package deal or they want to go together. But when I went to the Peach Jam, I told you guys this before, but it's my first time saying it on the podcast. While Pope was there watching the Caleb Lewis game, the game was about to tip off. Not Caleb Lewis, Caleb Wilson, where a guy in a clutch hoodie came up to Pope, handed him a phone. Pope talks on the phone for a while. It's all smiles, and then he hands the phone back. All of a sudden, a few
Mm-hmm.
days later, guess who's got a NIL sort of partnership deal with Clutch Sports? Caleb Wilson. I'm
Weird how
just
that
gonna
goes, huh?
hey,
You
just
know,
read the tea leaves over here. This has been in the
that's
bag for a while.
mobster. That's his Patino apprenticeship mobster mentality stuff going on right there.
Mormon mobster.
Yeah,
Sure, there's a lot of those.
I think that would be a
Yeah,
cool
well, a
shirt.
handful maybe. Just Pope probably, and that's about it actually.
That's going to be a fun week. I guess we'll probably see some more stuff heating up with high school recruiting. Now, until this year, because I don't think we've addressed this on the pod actually, but we were born from the early stages of Cal coaching carousel madness in the Trilly Donovan Discord. So now I'm just kind of lingering still around. It's mostly high school basketball recruiting until after the season. I'm sure there'll be a lot of portal and carousel stuff going on. That's kind of my only insight, really. I didn't care too much when it was Cal because it was kind of like you just knew there was going to be 5 top 30 guys and they were going to underperform. So I didn't really care. But now it's you see a lot more deliberation in how we pick and choose the personalities and roles for the roster. So it's more fun to keep up with. But yeah, it's so some recruiting news. We'll get to see a little bit more of the team tomorrow night
Yeah, we'll have
on
reaction
SEC
right
Network
after.
Plus. Yeah.
And
And
I
we'll
don't
have
know if
Vaughn
we're
on.
streaming on Twitch yet, but if we are, check the link in the bio. We might
There
be
you go.
streaming on Twitch.
Yep.
Please
And
like
then
and subscribe.
grinder.com/gone too soon if you're trying to skate.
Username Caleb. Just use
If you're trying to
promo code
skate.
Caleb for a free premium week.
Yeah.
But
What do you get
please
premium
like
on
and
Grinder?
subscribe the video on YouTube and on Apple and Spotify. The algorithm is our overlords now, and
Yes.
we would greatly appreciate it. If that's it,
The
I
algorithm.
think we are out, and we will see you all next time. Go Cats.
Cats.